So I just got off the phone with the company that sends me my fluids and my tubing and whatnot for my for my pump. And when I first got my port, I asked them if they had extension tubing so that when I'm trying to get my fluids hooked up, when I'm trying to flush my port, I don't have to be awkwardly all up in my boob area, because that's mine sits very low. So instead of sitting like right above my collarbone, it sits basically next to my nipple. And that's kind of hard to get to when you're out and about. So instead of having to lift my shirt up over my bra, and I mean, I have cute bras, so I really don't care, but other people don't really want to see that. So instead of having to be up in my bra area, I can be at my hip area with the extension tubing coming down here, so I can easily hook up to my fluids, unhook from my fluids. I can easily flush my port, and it's just so much better, because it's so scary when I'm like in a restaurant or something, or even driving. Driving is the scariest because the belt comes across here, so it's really hard to get to it if your bag runs out while you're driving. Not while you're driving, while someone else is driving you, you know, safe. It's very hard to flush your port when everything is up here, you know? So I'm very excited, very thankful I'm finally getting somewhere with these companies. The company that supplies my pump, however, is still being very, very frustrating, to say the least. I've had this pump for about a year. They're supposed to exchange it every year for maintenance, which I understand. But before they exchange it, they're supposed to have the new pump set up by your insurance for you, because each patient has specific settings for their pump. What rate, what they're being infused with, and whatnot. My pump that they were trying to replace my old pump with was set up for the old patient, and I couldn't fix it myself because you need a clinician code, and they wouldn't just give me the clinician code because obviously like legal reasons, and I understand that. What I don't understand is why the company that I get my pump from didn't contact my insurance and decided to just come to my house, give me a pump that they literally just took from someone else's house. So it hasn't been cleaned, it hasn't been reset. They're trying to give me this and take the pump that I'm currently using, that is set up for me. And they're like, well, you can just have someone come to your house. And I was like, I don't have home nurse, I don't have home health, I'm not covered for that. I do everything myself, I de-access myself, I access myself, I run my own fluids. The only thing I use a nurse for is setting up the pump, because I am not allowed to do that myself because of the code. And he was like, well, that's weird. Usually everyone has home health nurses. And I was like, well, I don't. It's in my file that I don't. And regardless of whether or not I have home health, you were supposed to contact my insurance and have the pump set up. I felt bad for this guy because it's not his fault. So eventually he was getting on his manager and called him and was like, well, why didn't anyone do this correctly? Why was I sent here for no reason? So that was a whole thing. That was a very long fight. I felt bad for the guy because I was like, you can bring the cops here if you want, you're not taking my pump. I'm not going to be left without access to fluids because your company didn't do anything right. Like, that is not happening at all. I'm not putting myself through that. And he was like, oh, well, and that was when he called his manager, I guess. It's not the person who owns the company, it's the person above him. So he called him and was like, well, no one set up the new pump. How could I just leave this patient without anything? And they're like, well, okay, leave them with both pumps and they'll have a month to set it up. So now I have to figure out how to get myself to the to the infusion company that my insurance pays for, and talk the nurses into reading this pump and then programming this pump exactly like this pump, because it was supposed to go through the company. The company was supposed to send the information to the infusion center and they were supposed to get it from there. Like, there was supposed to be a whole thing that happened that I'm not supposed to be doing. So now I have to do it. And my doctor is like, well, I don't know what information I'm supposed to send to the infusion center for them to hook up the pump. And I was like, you did this last year. You sent the same exact information for this pump to the same exact infusion center when I first got this pump. Why is it all of a sudden not happening? Why is it difficult? Why do chronically ill people always have to do everything themselves? Like, it's so frustrating. As if being chronically ill isn't frustrating enough, having to deal with insurance companies and durable medical equipment companies that are doing this kind of stuff constantly is so depressing, honestly, and it is just a drag on your mental and physical health, as if it's not being dragged down enough by all of the shit that's going on in our bodies. And I know everyone who has a chronic illness right now and that's watching this is like, yes, bitch. Oh my fucking god. And a lot of people who don't have chronic illnesses are probably like, oh, this bitch complains a lot. Yes, I do. I complain a lot. I have a lot of shit to complain about, especially when people aren't doing their jobs right. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. So tomorrow, I've spent all day already on the phone with pump people trying to get the extension tubes. That actually happened, thank God. And I've spent the other half of the day trying to get my pump information sent to this infusion center who it's just so frustrating because I called the infusion center and they're like, we have no information from your doctor. And I called my doctor and she's like, I sent the information last week. And I was like, where is the information? Just give me the information and send me there. I'll give it to them physically, give them both pumps and be like, please do this. Like, that is where I'm at right now. Like, give me all of the information and I'll tell them what to do if that's what needs to be done, because obviously that's what needs to be done. I am so tired of having to I was gonna say I'm tired of having to help adults do their job, but I'm technically an adult. That's scary, so I guess I just don't like adulting. Bah, complain. I got extension tubings.